I'll say welcome. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm great. Great to see you all today. And yeah, so today we're just going to look at local Florida butterflies and how you can get
Awesome.
them to come to your house.
That sounds great. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera and microphone off, but I will be here if you need me, okay?
Sounds great. Okay, let's get started. All right, so welcome, Steam Time Butterflies today. And first thing, oh, first things first, we're going to do our book shout out, and our book today is The Life Cycles of Butterflies. This one is by Judy Burris and Wayne Richards, and you have a lot of choices for how you want to access this title for our library. You can get it on Libby, you can get it through Hoopla, Instant Access, and you can also pick up the physical copy from your library. If you go on our website, you can download it or place a hold for any of those. So check it out, lots of beautiful pictures and great information. Okay, so let's start with talking about the butterfly's life cycle. So we're going to follow a monarch butterfly's journey through the garden. Okay, so first thing that'll happen is she arrives, okay, and she stops by some nectar plants for a refreshing snack. You can see her there chomping on that purple flower, drinking the nectar, and then she looks for a host plant to lay her eggs. So for monarch butterflies, they lay single eggs on different plants or on different parts of the same plant. So that way their caterpillars have lots of room to eat and eat and eat without getting in their siblings' way. Okay, and later, as I said, her eggs are hatch and the caterpillars feed on the host plant. Okay, so then, when they're in this egg stage, they can be in there for 10 to 14 days, okay? And once they have eaten, once they hatch, they eat for a few days until they're big enough, and then they will crawl away from the host plant to form their chrysalis, to pupate. So a lot of the time, you'll see the caterpillars in the garden and then you can't find where the chrysalis is. And that's because often they'll crawl quite far away. So some studies have shown that they'll crawl more than 30 feet away from where the host plant is, where they were eating. So if you see the caterpillars in your garden and then you can't find where the chrysalis is and you're thinking, well, did the birds come and eat them all, or did they get lost, or what happened to them? Well, if you do a little scavenger hunt around your garden, you might find them. They might be somewhere you wouldn't expect. I've found them under steps or under the mailbox, on fences, on totally different plants where there's no food. If you look around, you might find them. Okay. So then, after you can see here at the top, okay, in the top left here, they form like a J shape at the start, which some people call like a J hang. And then you see they slowly form this green chrysalis here over their whole body. Okay, and well, this is the most famous part of what a butterfly does. You might be surprised to learn that before this, they actually shed their skin 2 or 3 times. Many butterflies actually shed that they molt like a snake and shed their skin. 2 or 3 times as they grow as caterpillars. And then once they're a great big fat caterpillar, that's when they'll go ahead and form this chrysalis in their spot. So they actually go through several stages as a caterpillar, which the stages are called instars. And so you'll sometimes hear people talk about like first instar or second instar. You know, by the time monarch butterflies are on their final instar, they can eat food which they can't eat at first instar. So sometimes they'll be able to eat fruit like a melon. They can eat, you know, if you run out of leaves for your caterpillars to eat, in that situation, you can actually give them some melon, which is pretty cool. But if they're still in their little baby stage, they can't have that. So they already go through some development before they're even at the chrysalis stage. And then, of course, we have, you know, the super exciting stage here where you'll see them form the chrysalis, and it can take quite a long time as well. It takes hours for them to do this. Okay, and then they'll sit in the chrysalis. Of course, they're not just sitting there; they are transforming, right? It's part of the process of metamorphosis. So in there, that's when they'll slowly morph into a butterfly. And with these ones, you can see in the bottom right of the picture here, it starts off as this cute little green chrysalis with some gold edging around the seal, and then it becomes black, and then it becomes clear. So sometimes you'll see it looking very black, and you might wonder, like, oh, is the butterfly okay? Is everything okay? But this is just, you know, part of the development. So, you know, I'd suggest not interfering. And if you do interfere, if you do bump it a little, sometimes it will actually wiggle inside the chrysalis. So then, you know, they might be asleep, but that doesn't mean they're totally paralyzed and can't do anything. If you disturb them, sometimes they'll wiggle. You can imagine like an ant or something crawls on them, they might try and wiggle him off. Okay, and then, you know, after 10 to 14 days, which is the other reason, you know, you might get worried if you see the chrysalis in your yard slowly turning black, is it's quite a long time, isn't it? You have 10 to 14 days before it hatches from the egg. And then, you know, you can see by the end it's almost clear, so you can see the little butterfly. If it's a monarch, you can see the little butterfly inside the chrysalis, and then it is going to eat its way out. And another kind of scary part for the butterflies, when they come out, they can't fly. And you think, well, when we humans are born, we can't do all the things that we want to do either, can we? But after it dries its wings in the sun, then it will be able to fly on the same day it hatches. So, you know, depending on the weather conditions, they might just hang out in the chrysalis a little longer before they pop out. Then you see monarch butterflies generally live from 22 to 37 days. And during that time, you know, they'll hope to, you know, lay some eggs again to pass on to the next generation. But you see they're only, you know, only a month or so that they're around for. So it's, you know, quite nice to share a large part of their short lives with them. And of course, monarchs have that famous migration. So you'll see the butterflies that migrate from up north, and some of them do come through Florida, and some of them actually move to Florida. Those ones can live for as long as 9 months. But the ones you see in your garden, usually they're only going to be around for about a month before the circle of life starts all over again. Okay, so that, I mean, that's just one of the butterflies that you can see in our area, and there are a lot of similar ones that look like the monarch. There's the monarch, there's the queen butterflies, and there's like some viceroys, and so they all have very kingly names. Those guys are all in the same family. But we have like a huge variety of butterflies. If you go into any of our parks. If you have a little yard, or you go to the school yard and have a look around, I'm sure you'll spot a lot of them if you're looking for them. And you can see these golf fritillarias a lot, as well as these little sulphurs. And then the zebra longwing, if you keep an eye out for her, she is our state butterfly of Florida. So they especially find her south in the Everglades, but they're also all over Tampa, and right now is a great time of year to spot them. If you keep your eyes out, you'll definitely spot a few of those, and they have a really beautiful flight path. They don't just fly straight, they have a really wiggly one, so they're great to see, as well as the fritillary as well has a really interesting way of flying. And you can imagine it looks very silly. It looks very random because they don't fly directly to where they want to go like a bird. But, you know, partially this is because they're so little, they get pushed all around by the winds, but also it's a technique to help them avoid predators, because if the bird doesn't know where they're going to go, or the bat doesn't know where it's going to go, it's going to be very difficult to eat them. And we can see the swallowtails as well. They can be quite big, so it's very cool. These 6 are just some of the varieties that you can definitely see around Tampa and around Hillsborough County. So keep your eye out for those ones. Now, so we've seen all these pretty butterflies, and we just want to check out how do we get them into our garden. So you need 2 things. So you remember before, she stopped for a snack on a nectar plant, and then she went to the host plant to lay the caterpillars. So there are nectar plants that are food for butterflies, and then there are host plants that are food for caterpillars. They're different for different butterflies, different for different caterpillars, and some plants can be both. Okay, so here's some examples. Basically, different butterflies like different plants. Milkweed, you'll hear about a lot, is good for monarchs and queens. Parsley and other herbs will attract a black swallowtail. Citrus will bring a giant swallowtail. So, you know, we have a lot of citrus in Florida, so we have a lot of giant swallowtails as well. You need passion vine to get those zebra longwings and golf fritillaries. A plumbago will bring some cute little blue flowers, and if you have a pipe vine, you'll get a special pipe vine swallowtail. So I think it's always it's a good idea. I mean, if you start with any flowers, you're going to get some butterfly friends, but if you have like a variety, then you'll get a variety of friends. So I'm just going to suggest some plants that are good for starting with. They're Florida-friendly plants. They're very hardy. They make a lot of flowers. They don't use a lot of water, and they don't need a lot of maintenance. And that would be pentas, like what's in this picture. You could also do something like lantana, plumbago, firebush. You see everywhere. It's very popular. We actually have a bunch outside my library here. And also firecracker plants and ixora as well. So if you have any of these, they're very hardy, and they'll also bring a lot of butterflies to your garden. Some other things you want to think about: sunlight. As I said before, when the butterflies first hatch, they need a sunny spot to dry out their wings. So they're not, you need like some sunlight. Usually not a problem for us here in the Sunshine State, is it? We've got plenty of sunlight. So while some plants might prefer a damper area, having an area of your garden or placing your flowers in an area with lots of sunlight is going to attract these insects. And of course, they need the sun to keep their bodies warm, insects. So, having lots of sunlight is important. Okay, you have to plant it in clumps, and I'm sorry, you're going to have to let your garden become a little untidy too. So a lot of the time, you'll see it's very popular to use to have big spread out gardens with a lot of mulch in them. But what the butterflies would prefer is if you clump it up a bit, let it be a little untidy, so you don't have these big deserts of mulch, and then you'll see a lot more butterfly action. Okay, this also helps them creates some shelter from predators. I mean, I don't keep butterflies in cages or anything like that. I think if some of our local birds get some of them, that's part of the circle of life. But you want them to have some shelter, and if your garden is a little bushy, that helps a lot. Okay, a lot of people will pair butterfly gardening with native plants. We don't have time to go into that today, but the native plants is like a whole beautiful area of gardening. Choosing things that are native to Florida and native to Hillsborough is always a good choice. It's also good to have a little bit of a puddle. We don't need too big a water source, but if you have a bird bath or a little puddle nearby, that's good for them as well and helps them get their nutrients. And the biggest thing is we're trying to get insects in, so we want to avoid pesticides. Of course, the way pesticides work is they just kill everything, I'm afraid. So, we want to avoid using pesticides, and of course, like if you have problems with mosquitoes, we can deal with them by wearing repellent and avoiding keeping standing water there. And you can you can use natural techniques to attract the desirable insects and not attract the undesirable ones. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. Just a quick introduction to butterflies' life cycle and how to get them to come and visit you at your house. So if you have any questions, please go ahead.
All right, come back on camera. We do have a few questions. Let's see, someone is asking, what is your favorite butterfly? Mine are the yellow ones that I see sometimes.
Oh, I don't know if they're big yellow ones or little yellow ones, but they're all pretty nice. Right now, I kind of go back and forth, but right now I think my favorite is the zebra longwing. I think there's lots of good reasons for it being the state butterfly, and actually in the Town and Country Children's Library, it's under renovation right now, but hopefully when we reopen, we'll be able to have our great big butterfly model hanging. We have a beautiful, great big zebra longwing butterfly hanging. So
that'll be exciting.
I'm right now.
All right, someone wants to know, what are butterfly wings made from?
Butterfly wings.
They're made from something. Yes.
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't have a great answer for that one, but that's a good one that we can look up in the library and find out some more about.
Yeah, or at least know how they're shaped, or how they're structured, maybe.
Well, there's a lot of different shapes, isn't there? And I think they are kind of attached to the exoskeleton a bit. So
yeah, some sort of material.
Exactly. Yeah, but they're very fragile as well. So strong yet fragile.
I believe you already talked about, someone wanted to know what type of plants attract butterflies, and you had already mentioned that earlier. So I think you answered their question already. And last question is, can you keep a butterfly as a pet?
I mean, some people do. I think they're always happier outside. It's warmer there. what you can do, what's a good option is, you know, if you see the eggs on the leaf, if you get them to come to your garden and lay some eggs, you can pick some of the leaves and put them in a container and bring them inside, and then watch the caterpillars grow. And if you have a little, you can use like a laundry basket or something for them to live in. And then when they become a butterfly, well, they won't be very happy inside, but you can release them outside. A lot of people like that.
Sure. I think I've seen some kits that you can buy, like a kit too, that have like a whole little habitat and let them free once they're, like you're saying, once they turn into butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's it for questions. Daniel, that was a great presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah. So if you want to contact the library, the information is here on the screen. You can go online at hcplc.org/contact. Also on our website, you can see our events calendar. And you can also find out about tech topics, which is kind of in the branding series of these types of programs, but it focuses more on technology. So with that, I'll say thank you again to you, Daniel, and thank you everyone who joined us this early evening. I hope you have a great rest of your evening, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.